were a number of Democrats that were willing to, in addition to the ones that we saw, who voted with the Republicans to reopen the government. There were a number of others who were prepared to do the same, Democrats. And Senator Sheldon Whitehouse talked about this. There were 8 Democrats in the Senate who wanted to join with the Republicans and end the government shutdown, and would have possibly stepped up if one of the 8 Democrats who did step up had decided against it or so on. So there would have been the votes there. And he said that Senator Schumer, because there have been calls for Schumer now to resign, that Senator Chuck Schumer ought to resign the leadership position, that he's out, they ought to pick a new leader. And so White House is saying that's bad strategy to switch leadership in the middle of a fight. And he said that Schumer had a bigger number of senators to deal with than 8. He had the 3 you mentioned who had never voted, or in fact, they continued to support the continuing resolution. The Fetterman was among them, who were voting to support the continuing resolution all along. But in addition to the 3, there were the 5 who voted to actually, but Senator Tim Kaine has said there were another 5 or 6 Democrats that were waiting in the wings, and they also would have stepped up had their votes been needed. And it just shows that Democrats then, because there's some criticism coming from Democrats in the House of Representatives about these Democrats that would or that did vote on the continuing resolution to reopen the federal government. The fact that more Democrats are feeling that and would have also stepped up really just kind of blows what Hakeem Jeffries is saying right out of the water. Just absolute nonsense, I think. Also, the editorial board over at the New York Post, we talked about the president and the $2,000 tariff dividend on the show the other day. And the New York Post editorial board is saying this talk of more free money from Uncle Sam is a recipe for the ruin of the republic. Excuse me. The president should drop the talk before walking the walk. They said the president has no authority to single-handedly authorize checks of any amount. He would need the approval of Congress. Plenty of Republican lawmakers oppose these rebates. And if he works with Democrats to get them, they'll take most of the credit. So here's the New York Post saying that this $2,000 a person dividend that we talked about on the radio show the other day, saying that this is a bad idea. The president should drop the talk because walking the walk would yield disaster, says the New York Post. Also, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was on, I saw her on Fox and Friends this morning, and she was talking about people who had been arrested. There was a massive sweep in which more than 150 illegal migrant sexual predators were caught. And the sex offenders were among more than 230 illegals that were rounded up in Florida. They were wanted for crimes including drug offenses, even murder. And she said the operation was called Operation Criminal Return. I call it Operation Dirtbag. This is Kristi Noem. Because these individuals were sex offenders, but not just sex offenders. They targeted children. She said, these 150 individuals will be gone off of our streets. Our kids will be safer. And so they were working with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. And she said that's a model that she would like to replicate across the country. These individuals should have never been in our country to begin with, Noam said. The fact that they were sexual deviants and perverts, and now we've gotten them off our streets, it's remarkable. We need to do more of it, Noam said on Fox and Friends. Also, we've got the mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, who said yesterday he will reach out to President Trump before he takes office. He actually will be sworn in on New Year's Day. And he told NBC New York that with the relationship between City Hall and the White House will be critical to the success of the city. So now he's saying what, that he needs to have a relationship with Trump. I mean, he was out there on election night after he had won election, trashing Trump, and it was pretty breathtaking, I thought, the criticism that Mamdani has had for President Trump. So he didn't say when he would contact the administration, but he said, if President Trump wants to speak about lowering the cost of living or delivering cheaper groceries like he ran on, I'm there to have that conversation. I'm here to work for the benefit of everyone that calls this city home, and that wherever there is a possibility for working together toward that end, I'm ready. And if the administration's policies are to the expense of those New Yorkers, I will fight. Is he saying anything new? I'm not even sure he's saying anything new. So he's saying, okay, he's open to talking to Trump if Trump can help reduce the price of groceries. But otherwise, pound sand, sounds like he's saying. Now, get a load of this. This is a story. There was a journalist, Cam Higbee, was talking to supporters of Zohran Mamdani. And Cam Higbee says they couldn't come up with a single reason why they voted for him. So one girl said of Mamdani, why'd you vote for him, was the question. So why'd you vote for him? I don't really know. I just do. Yeah, because they keep seeing all of these like cute TikToks of him, like partying and clubbing. And honestly, he's like one for the people, That's your reasoning for electing Mamdani. One woman who is not from New York said she is a Mamdani supporter. But she was asked, okay, if you're a Mamdani supporter, what's your favorite policy? Couldn't name a single policy. She said, I have no idea. I'm not from New York. I support innovative thinking and democracy. I'm an optimist. Just a lot of scatterbrain. And this goes on. Another supporter said he's excited about Mamdani being mayor because he's an immigrant. He said affordable housing was his biggest issue. And he was asked, oh, well, how will Mamdani's administration pay for that? Tennessee. It's just absolutely incredible. It's just like one, stroke after another that these voters are having, and they're asked to explain what's going on. Also, this is a story from the Hill. Emails released by Democrats. So this is where Democrats are at. Now that the government's open, we're right back to Jeffrey Epstein. Emails released by Democrats show that Jeffrey Epstein telling associates in the 2010s that, of course, President Trump knew about his relationships with underage girls. The 3 emails released by Democrats on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee show Epstein's correspondence with Ghislaine Maxwell, as well as another author. And so we've got 3 emails. Whoa, 3 emails. And the Democrats and Epstein and Trump, and they're desire to try to pull Donald Trump back into that is just, I mean, that is absolutely just crazy. So anyway, that's all I've got for you this morning. Thank you so much for letting me join you. I really appreciate it. You have made it to the end of the video. So you are part of my gallery of champions. Special salute to the Bunker Brigade. Those are the folks that you see commenting and interacting. And I love your comments. I go through them every day. So thank you so much for being here. Hope to see you again tomorrow. So until then, my friend, I'm underground and gone.